welcome back. This is The Between, Darkened Mirrors, episode 4. All right, so last we left off, we hit the dawn, and I am owed a Mask of the Past from Whitmore and Mask of the Penance from everyone. So whomever, wait, hold on, let's see. Whitmore, if you want to start first and just let us know what the prompt is and then go ahead and narrate, or I will repeat for the video what the Mask of Penance is, and then whomever wants to start can start.
I'm good to go ahead with Whitmore's Mask of the Past.
Cool.
So this particular prompt is narrate a flashback from your young adulthood before you were a servant that shows your most significant professional triumph. In this flashback, we start, as always, with the lens of the camera, fading out from wherever it was, as it pans down a London shopping street on an overcast, early spring day. A light rain begins to fall. We see people walking up and down the street, and off in the distance, we hear 5 chimes of Big Ben's bell, signaling to us the evening hour. Our camera follows a man in a suit coat and a simple wool scarf, walking with his back to the camera. In one arm, a simple shopping bag. In the other, anything but. The camera slowly zooms out, and we see that in the man's other arm is a well-dressed woman. She wears a beautiful, elegant crimson dress, her hair done up. A small flash of silver below her ears tells us that they would fit in on any London high street, though that is not where we are today. The rain begins to pick up, and we see on the street others begin to put up umbrellas. Unfortunately, it appears our bescarfed hero does not have one. It seems that this rain was something he was not prepared for. "Oh, Charles," the woman whines, "if this rain keeps up, my hair will be just ruined." "Think nothing of it, my dear," the man reassures her. "I'm sure that one of these shops will have an umbrella for sale." The camera fades for a bit, and we hear and see the ringing of a bell over a shop door. The camera pans down, and we see, clearly for the first time, the man's clean-shaven face, and realize that our bescarfed hero is not Whitmore. Whitmore instead stands before the couple. "May I help you?" Whitmore asks. "Do you happen to have an umbrella for sale? I was not expecting this rain. It came out of nowhere," the man explains. Whitmore looks around the store, and our camera and our vision slowly pans to see where Whitmore works. We see that this is a bookstore, not a place that would carry an umbrella. No, sir," Whitmore replies. "The only one here is the one I've brought myself. I was prepared for the rain, you see." "Ah," the man lets out a small outburst. "But for the lovely lady here," the man asks as he begins to open his wallet and starts to hand Whitmore a few banknotes. Whitmore's eyes never leave the banknotes. It was more money than he'd make all month. He can only stammer out, of course, as he takes the notes and hands over the umbrella. The couple, now protected from the rain, exits the store as calmly and sure of themselves as they entered. We see them walk off into the distance as we hear the ruffling of banknotes, and then Whitmore's voice calling out, "Miss Baxter, I'll be back. I need to run some errands before the shops close." Suddenly, we hear the clip-clop of feet and the splashing of puddles down a high street. As Whitmore races down the street that the couple just left, people stop and stare, making way and giving him the strangest of looks. Finally, soaked to his core, he enters a shop, calling out for the owner. Mr. Edwards. Ah, Mr. Whitmore, welcome. What are you doing here? You don't have a payment due until next month, Mr. Edwards says, completely ignoring the fact that Whitmore is dripping on his floor. Well, unless, have you come to see it again? You know gold won't disappear if you stop looking at it. Not today. Today I have it. Today she is mine, Whitmore proclaims for the world to hear as he starts counting out banknotes. As the last note lands, Edward smiles and turns to the back cabinet and takes out this small felt box, one that Whitmore has held dozens. Whitmore's held hundreds of times. And Edwards opens the box to show Whitmore its contents. Not that he doesn't already know exactly what's inside. The only sound we hear is the muffled words of Whitmore saying thank you, deep into Mr. Edwards' chest. Today they are yours, he says, proudly removing Whitmore from himself, and Mr. Edwards hands Whitmore the box. Do you know when you'll, but unfortunately, in a very uncharacteristic move, Whitmore interrupts cuts off Mr. Edwards. It's tonight. I'm going to ask her to marry me tonight. And our camera fades to black. This is the most significant professional triumph in Whitmore's life before becoming a servant.
Mask of Penance. Each hunter narrates a flashback of a moment they begged someone for forgiveness, only to be denied. This is for everyone. So whomever wants to start.
I've got mine ready. And this is going to be through Lord James' perspective, not the boy. So we see Lord James sitting in a chair in a Hargrave house. He's staring into a fire from a small fireplace, and he's got a drink. And he's this is probably after the cathedral, after defeating the gargoyle. He's trying to remember back. Some of his memories are starting to come back from his expedition for the Queen, and he's thinking, when was the last time that I saw Campbell? And in his mind is like really is really trying to cut through the cobwebs of the Fey realm in the realm of humanity, and he can see the portal between the obsidian stones. It's just about to close. There's this crackling blue electric web, and it's starting to fade. And he's thinking, I was looking up into Cairborn's inhuman black eyes, and I was pleading with him with my own eyes, and he just stared. And so I had to use my words and say, verbally begging, please, Cairborn, I did not know. You must forgive me. I did not know. And I remember he slowly shook his head, his long white hair barely moving from the gesture. So I shouted his name one last time, Cairborn. But he slowly, ever so slowly, turned his back on me, sending a clear message that I would get no forgiveness from Cairborn, from the village of Cassarax, or possibly even our allies in the Sealy court. And then what was it? I was standing there in the rain on some forgotten Irish barrow with the survivors of our expeditionary forces, and I knew that I would have to report back to the Queen that we were no longer welcome in the realm of the Fae.
I can do mine. We see what looks to be a lower level of a castle, maybe like a I don't want to call it like dungeony, but it's the general vibe it gives off. And we see just bursting through this door is a younger Victor, maybe later teens at this point. Hands like not covered in blood, but there's some there. And we see this woman follow him, an older woman, very statuesque face, very elaborate braid, a kind of cat-like grace in disposition to her, clearly family resemblance to Victor. And she goes, "Victor, get back inside now." And Victor goes, "Please, mother, please, don't make me do this. Please, 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 I beg of you, I'll do anything. Don't make me do this." And she goes, "Victor, this is what happened when any of us are careless. As an Armstrong, we take responsibility for my mistakes. You for your carelessness, and me for not having trained you as well as I thought I did." And then Victor looks down, clearly just like dressed down. A lot of respect for this woman. And he just goes, "Just this once, please. I know what I did was wrong, and there's no excuses, but please, this is too much, please." She goes, "I've known your uncle since I was a child. Do you not think this is as hard for me as it is for you?" And Victor goes, there's like a deep sigh, and just walks back in. And we see what looks to be a table where they are preparing a body. We don't see the body is not in shot, but based on Victor's pale face and expression, it's probably pretty mangled. And his mother goes, "When we make mistakes, the costs are dear, Victor. And now you will understand what happened because you weren't there. You and me, we're going to prepare this body for the funeral. We're going to take all the parts, put it all back together, and get it as presentable as we can. All right?" And Victor just goes, "Yes, mother. I apologize for my mistake." And his mother just goes, "I accept your apology, and I hope this lesson was learned." And it cuts from there.
I can go next if y'all stop me if you hear too many dogs barking. So our shot is long and our perspective is high on a gentle hill, middle of the night. The moon is very bright, clearly only a few days removed from being full. Closer inspection tells us that this moon is waning. Just a few days ago it was full, but now it's diminishing. We see in profile against a deep blue night and grass colored likewise by the night, two people arguing. We're too far away to hear what they say. There is clearly, to us at least, a younger Doc, with a ragged beard, no hat. None of the easy appointed confidence, certainly none of the nicer duds that we see now. Across from Doc is a handsome man, roughly his age. He's wearing a bowler hat and a deep blue bandana that kind of matches the color scheme, kind of deep blue of the night beneath the moon. They have piercing red eyes, the only thing in the entire night that is bright enough to adjust the color palette. And we see Doc apologizing for a number of things. You see agreements that have been broken, promises forgotten, arguing and apologizing around the shape of something having been broken. As the camera begins to kind of creep in beneath this waning moon on the prairie, on this gentle hill, Doc finishes whatever performance he's giving, though it does seem sincere. We are close enough just in time to hear and see this young man, Drake, whose face has started off impassioned, wide-eyed, angry in the way that people we care about can only make us angry. But as we kind of move in, and as this impassioned plea from Doc reaches its conclusion, we see bit by bit Drake's anger cool, and not in a way that is comforting, in the way that sometimes anger must be set aside to make a clean break. And as the camera gets close enough and we do finally hear some language that is discernible, it's Drake saying, "We both got to acknowledge the corn here, Julius. Nothing about this was ever going to work out." And Doc is crumpled in that moment. His eyes, which were almost lost beneath the raggedy hair and the raggedy beard, seem to sink even further into his own face. And as the camera brings us back up to the heavens, the only thing that we can hear is coyotes fighting and crying in the distance.
I suppose that leaves Whitmore's. We would see Whitmore alone in a confessional booth. The silhouette shows that there is no man of God on the other side. He's head down, lost in prayer. It's not every day that God does not forgive one of his flock. But then again, it's not every day that Whitmore kills someone. I guess it's not actually God that doesn't forgive Whitmore. It's Whitmore that doesn't forgive Whitmore. He knows that the job that we do at Hargrave House is dangerous. And he knows that we don't come back, that not everyone comes back after every night. Well, no, that makes it sound like we all die. People like Doc come back the next morning smelling like booze, but they don't come back that night. People like Victor come back covered in blood, but they don't come back that night. They come back the next morning. People like Lord Campbell-Hughes come back the next morning with stories and tales of adventures. But then there's people like Harriet, who used to come back with a smile on her face as if the world was made just for her. No, I'm sorry, that's wrong. She doesn't come back anymore. She's dead. It was a case that Hargrave House shouldn't have touched. It was something that Scotland Yard could have, should have, and would have handled, but Harriet was too good for this world. She volunteered, and Whitmore offered to help. It was the Broad Street Ripper. It was a case of simple murders. And Whitmore scouted the area, and Harriet went to go talk to some of the girls on this promiscuous street. And as he heard her scream, Whitmore would pull Harriet's gun from his bag that he kept tools from everyone. And he happened to have Harriet's gun. Maybe he shouldn't have. He definitely shouldn't have. But as he pulled the gun on the Ripper, there were two thuds. The first as the Ripper hit Whitmore, and the second as Whitmore hit the ground. And Harriet did not come back. And Whitmore does not forgive himself for it. At this point, Whitmore can't even remember how many years or months ago it was, but he still hasn't touched a firearm. He still can't forgive himself for it.
And this is where we will introduce the new threat. The King in Shadows, Act 1, in which the curtains rise and our cast come to the slow realization that they are stuck in a tragedy, and that the performance of a mysterious play is heralding the incursion of another world on our own. A round of applause is heard as the curtains rise. Everyone claps. Scene 1. It is day. The set of Hargreave House is bare except for a single door and a lounge sofa. Our cast is fretting about. They move upstage as the table appears, laden with tea and... None of you are certain what just happened. As far as you know, you went to bed. It was a restless night, and when you awoke this morning, all your actions felt strangely scripted. The feeling persisted throughout the early morning until you all sat down for tea. Each of you experienced a vivid nightmare in which you stood before a tall figure wreathed in shadows. Describe one horrific, vulnerable, or terrifying experience you had within the dream as you auditioned for a place in the King's royal court. And this is for each of you.
Lord Campbell-Hughes is looking at the script and he's thinking, I'm not really sure which one I'm going to read for, but I'm leaning towards reading for the night. So he looks at the lines for the night, flips through and counts how many. It's got a fair number of scenes, seems like. Not too many. Something I can handle without too much rehearsals. And then when the casting director calls, Lord James Ford, he comes forward and the casting director says, and you're reading for? I will be reading for the night. And the casting director says, no, you're not even close. Go down to the bottom, turn to page 6, go down the bottom, and you will be reading to us the part of the pauper number 4. Okay, page number 16. Okay, here we go. Thank you. The casting director goes, perfect. You got the part. Now hand us back the script, and we'll see you tomorrow morning. But head down. Lord James Campbell-Hughes heads out of the theater.
Whitmore wouldn't have showed up to the theater with the plan of auditioning. He would have showed up with the caterers. And he only finds himself in the main theater as he brings the casting director and the table their lunch. As he undoes the cloche, handing each of them, he realizes that each of them has small cucumber sandwiches with the crusts cut off and lemon cakes. As he looks down, he would see that the cloche is being held by his hand. His hand is cucumbers. His arms are cucumbers. The sandwiches are him. He's sitting on a plate before the casting director as someone reads for a part. And the casting director picks up the sandwich, a Whitmore sandwich, a Whitmore cucumber sandwich, and takes a bite. And Whitmore wants to scream, but he can't, because as we all know, cucumber sandwiches don't have a mouth, and therefore scream the loudest when they die.
Well, if I can just put myself back together for a moment after that. Point of order really quick. Is this an audition we went to or a dream we're having of an audition? The second one? I see people nodding. Okay. So spotlight opens, Doc is on stage. In kind of like a wispy dream logic, Doc knows that he's there to demonstrate his profound skill at stage combat, which, maybe even outside of the dream world isn't something that he would be too bad at. His scene partner comes up. They do a couple of like big hokey swings at each other that wouldn't be out of place in like what we would know as a corny Wild West film. And then Doc lands a left hook that's, with the body slap on the chest to make the noise that's supposed to go right before his scene partner's jaw. And he misjudges it by a little bit. He connects, which isn't something that's alien in this dream with this dream logic that Doc has. But the results afterward are, because the scene partners is just obliterated. Total crumpling. And before Doc can even react to that, just kind of staring dumbly at his hand and at like his scene partner that looks as though he's been, knocked off his feet by a shotgun blast. Like a posse of men on horses with long rifles and like lariats and torches like ride onto the stage. Doc almost falls over himself trying to go into the wings on the other side. And of course, the moment he bursts through the curtains, he's like in a pine barren kind of forest, right? Those ones where it's incredibly flat and all the trees are very uniform. So if you kind of stare off in any direction, it's almost a zoetrope kind of effect. And well, he can only run so long, and then the dream is over.
I think in this dream, Victor heads into like a stage that's being like set up by the backstage crew and goes up to this woman who kind of like reads in shadow, but just kind of directing where everyone goes. And Victor goes up to her and just says, excuse me, I don't really understand my part for the play. They told me to go to you. My part says that dressing, what's that supposed to mean? And she goes, well, we have enough actors for the living people parts. Some others have to play the objects. It doesn't say which object I am, though. I'm just gonna be like a tree in the background. No, we'll figure it out. And she goes, maybe a bed. And then Victor feels his body change, stretched out, and this like half transformation. He tries to breathe, but all he can feel is his lungs fill with like cottony feathers, and he coughs, and there's this saliva, bloody feathers that come out of his mouth. She goes, no, maybe not that. And yeah, he just keeps getting changed into these different objects, half transformed, never full, and he keeps changing and changing and changing until he wakes up.
Looking further into the matter, it appears you are not alone. A strange madness plagues London. Rumors describe mass delusions, hysteria, and disorientation among people of all classes. Two individuals, artist Hypatia Quint and theater critic Larkin Creel, were both admitted to Bethlehem Royal Hospital recently following bouts of distress. Prior to his admittance to Bedlam, Larkin published a scathing review of a piece of experimental theater titled The King of Shadows. The review is unforgiving in its criticisms, but it's clear that Larkin felt drawn, perhaps obsessed, to see the play again. However, the production doesn't stay in one place for very long. Part of the play's allure is its sudden appearance at a new venue every few weeks. Those who wish to see must seek it for themselves. The play was last performed in the basement of Ranelagh Chapel in Sloane Square, just a stone's throw from Hargrave House. If you can find the play, maybe watching it can provide some insight into what's going on. And so is our new threat, the King of Shadows. There is a timer on this, and I don't propose waiting to find out what happens at the end. So, the first question you must answer is, what signs precede a performance of the play, and where will it appear next? This is a complexity 2. Discover the location of the new venue. The hunters may watch a performance during any following night phase while this threat is active. Afterwards, unlock the next question. All right, so you have to answer this first before moving on to the resolution. Okay, and there is a mask, a threat mask associated with this threat, and it is called, let me see, the Mask of Dissociation. All right, and so I will let you know what it is when you pick it. And you still have Shoreditch Slugger on your plate. But of course, that is only, it's investigatable, but again, you can only go to Bout Club the next night, okay? But Victor knows where it is, where the next bout is going to happen. It's supposed to happen in a underground cave. Okay. So, true beginning of day phase. You can enact some vulnerable moves to remove some conditions, and you can also, well, I mean, like, go about London, doing things. All right. So, yes.
Before we move on to day phase,
Mhm.
I picked up a new move in
Yes.
advancement that
Okay.
that happens in the dawn phase.
Oh,
May
okay,
I-
great. Let me look.
It is Memory of the Servant.
Ooh, all right, great.
I figure day work provides everyone else with personal quarters items. Memory of the Servant provides me with one.
Okay.
Or an experience mark if I provide it to someone else.
Okay. So,
It has to be something from the previous night phase.
okay.
I would like a key for the lock that we played, not for the lock, but from the lock that we placed on St. Cecilia's crypt, if that is acceptable. I can read the
Yes.
full move if you'd prefer.
Yes, please go ahead and do so.
So, Memory of the Servant. During the dawn phase, you may tell the keeper you are claiming a memento, which can be any object from a scene in the recently concluded night phase you would have reasonably been able to acquire. If you keep the memento, add it to your personal quarters. If you give the memento to another hunter, mark XP and tell them to add it to theirs.
Okie dokie.
I will be adding this to mine.
Okay, perfect. Go ahead and do so. All right. Oh, did anybody else pick an advancement or anything that I need to worry about in a phase? Anything? Okay.
Oh, my advancement is not as significant, but it might. Oh, I was planning to use it during the next day phase.
Okay.
Kind of like to make in like a making up a character in the fiction sort of way.
Ooh.
So my new move is A hunter's life is in want of privilege. When
Ooh.
you leverage your family's name in order to get information or assistance, roll with presence on a 10 plus. The person has a history with your family and will help you for the remainder of the phase. And any information they give can be in the form of a clue at the keeper's discretion. Any rolls associated with actions they help you with are taken with advantage. On a 7 to 9 as above, but they will require something in return. The keeper will say what. On a 12 plus, they will also lean in to whisper something about the beast, increase your hunt circle count by 1. The 12 plus result is no longer available once the beast is resolved. So basically with this move, I mean, I can do it to any NPC, but I set up last time that there's this like medicine doctor person that like I knew, that's why I sent the person to. That's who I was gonna like check in with.
Okay, great. All right.
Yeah.
All right, wonderful.
And just real quick, because I got 2 hunt X's
Yep.
on the thing,
Mhm.
I believe, let's see. Whenever you mark hunt, ask another player to describe what you find that tells you you are 1 step closer. These clues should be very small or subtle, a feeling, a scent, a shadow, or something in the air. So maybe it was during the previous night phase or sometime during the weird like King of Shadows stuff that was happening in the play. But I would like to ask, I think, let's go.
And it doesn't have to be the same player for both.
Yeah, so let's do Jeremy. Can you give me one thing I found? I think I'm gonna ask to be, Jeremy and Bob would be the 2.
In the list of objects that you transformed into during the dream for the King of Shadows, as the stage hand kept listing things, one of the things that you transformed into was a beast skin rug. And so for part of it, you had the body of Victor, the heart of Victor, but the outward appearance of a beast, not necessarily the beast, but a beast.
Bob?
Right. Yeah. Sorry. That's a that's a toughie.
Doesn't have to be big. It's just like small and subtle.
Paul, can you read me the context for this item again?
Yeah,
Please?
so it's my like specific move. Basically the one of the legacy's main thing is that they're in London hunting. Like basically they're like big thing they want to hunt and kill that's been haunting their family. So whenever something happens in the story that is very significant, Mads can ask me to mark an X or an O depending on the situation, kind of describing like how I'm getting closer and closer to catching this beast. It's my playbook special threat that gets unlocked after a while.
Mhm.
So whenever I get an X or an O, I get to ask one of the other players what small subtle clue I find that like, brings me closer to that, finding the beast.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. That gets me there, I think. What if, as we move into this next day phase, either when you wake up in your room or like the first time you are in your room at the dawn of this day, there's just like 13 oddly colored moths on your window, on the outside of your window. They're kind of like a sickly green. I'm thinking kind of like a Luna moth color, but very different composition. They look more like one of those moths that imitate owl faces. And they're a perfect circle.
All right, so resuming day phase. So again, you can enact some vulnerable moves, and you can also do some life around London, or if you want to just go straight into investigations, you can do that too if you want. But I know most of you have a condition, at least one, and then you can totally do some vulnerable moves with each other. Again, just needing a vice and then another hunter to do it with, or to be present while you're doing it. Okay, so, oh, and then remember that because of Whitmore being the factotum, He can only request a vulnerable move with Lord Campbell-Hughes. However, that does not prevent anybody else from asking to do a vulnerable move with Whitmore. Okay.
I was actually going to ask to do the vulnerable move with Lord Campbell-Hughes. That's all right with you, Daniel. It would probably be just after tea when we'd all found ourselves suddenly around a table. Whitmore probably would have come to the realization that we've got tea set up, but no sandwiches and things. And he would go to the kitchen in an attempt to try and make a cucumber sandwich, not be able to for some reason, and settle on lemon cakes. Lord Campbell-Hughes, I think I've got a new recipe for a baked good, and would you be willing to try it in exchange for answering a question of mine?
No.
I've baked them with love and lemon, mostly love.
Lot is afoot, Whitmore. We've got a lot to do. We can't spend all day checking out new recipes now. We've got to.
It's not all day, and it's a small cake. Whitmore would say, bringing up a small tea platter with a small cake on it.
Lord Campbell-Hughes does not seem placated by the sandwiches. Are we going to first go around and say what everybody's doing, or are we going to? Would you like to do this?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you want to, I wasn't sure whether, like, people were just going to like line up some vulnerable moves, but I mean, yeah, it's like, it's probably a good idea to just see what everybody else wants to do too. Okay. And also remember that there must be a vice in play. So think about that before we get into, scenes and such. So no problem. No apologies necessary. All right. So, Doc, what do you plan on doing today?
Well, I was
This
going to
morning.
check in. Right. I was going to check in with Paul, what Paul was thinking about for Victor, because we could do a vulnerable move together. I don't know that Doc would be like, hey, Victor, come with me. If only because we did that last time, right? Like continuing the bender into the next day was the last vulnerable move that I pulled off.
Mm-hmm.
But I can always also do the was it cruel as the harlot's curse? So disappear on my own.
So I didn't. I was planning to do a vulnerable move scene with Whitmore just because he has a lot of conditions right now, so I won't skip that. He has multiple ones.
Right.
But yeah. But if you want to do a vulnerable move scene, that's also fine. Up to you if you really wanted to do one. I'm really down for having
Gotcha.
vulnerable scenes with anyone.
And you don't have to have a condition to do them. It's just a matter of like, yeah.
It's safe to assume each of us can only do like one vulnerable move per day phase, right?
I mean, again, if it's like, it seems like something good to do. I mean, I'm not going to argue because you can call it a vulnerable move or you can call it like a regular scene. I mean, like, I am allowing you some space to breathe.
Right. I only ask because it might be appropriate for Doc to kind of disappear on his own after the weird night he had, because he kind of went a little bit off book, as it were. And I think, again, I don't think it's set in stone. I think I could easily see him also like fighting with, because your vice is hitting stuff, like training with Victor in the backyard of the house.
That would be a very cool scene. So no, like, no problem. I have no problems with people wanting to clear stuff or just have scenes with each other because yeah.
I mean, I'm down. I can do a vulnerable move scene with Doc.
Yeah, let's go for that. That would be interesting as well.
Yeah, and then after that, my plan was just to do meet with the I sent the kid from the fight club to a position somewhere in the city that I knew and wanted to check in with them. Would be after I did the vulnerable scene with Doc.
Absolutely. Okay,
Yeah,
great.
As far as after vulnerable scene, the stuff I singled out last time in my notes, one of these times soon, I've got to do a solo adventure to meet up with Cobweb again, because, you know, can't let that hang. But I was also thinking about maybe whether it's Lord Campbell-Hughes or Whitmore, whoever's maybe more, it'd probably be Lord Campbell-Hughes, bringing my sample of that amber liquid for us to test it and do some research on what is in it and what it does. That seems important, and also something that Doc, though he's not terribly whip smart, he probably could think of doing that. Like, oh, well, okay, who is smart? Who can do science? I can't.
And after Vulnerable moves, Whitmore, in the first session, Mads, you provided an ad for a theater that had a series of letters kind of scribbled out. Given the fact that we're looking for a Shadow King theater of some kind, and Whitmore's got this note, he'd probably go investigate the two, trying to see if the two are at all related.
Terrific idea. Absolutely. All right, great.
After the vulnerable scene with Whitmore, Lord Campbell-Hughes is calling a meeting at the Royal Explorers Club with Lady Winifred Wheatley Grainworth and his old faithful companion, Sir Anthony Rhys Wood. So that's why Sir Campbell-Hughes is like has the need for speed. I'm going to check all the boxes.
I love oh my God. I think you're only supposed to do like one.
I'm going to check all the boxes.
Slow your roll. Slow your roll. Okay. Okay. So yeah. Let's line up the vulnerable scenes first. Okay. So given Lord Campbell-Hughes's need for speed, let's do the Whitmore Lord Campbell-Hughes scene first. Okay.
And which vice were we going to use?
I was going to say, like, what
I was about to roll it into adventure novels.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, so go ahead and frame it up.
So I guess while you're probably attempting to escape to the REC, Whitmore would have this small cake on a tea plate, and underneath it would be a book. Adventures off the Moroccan coast. And Whitmore would put the cake down. But before you head off, Lord Campbell-Hughes, I know you spent some time in Morocco, and I had a question from one of my novels about the area. If you'd be able to regale me with one of your adventuring tales.
Morocco. Only because it's the morning, Whitmore, and things that happen in the Moroccan desert are best not spoken at night.
Excellent. As a chill probably goes down Whitmore's spine. In this passage here, and he'd flip to a bookmarked section, I'm confused as to how our hero traveled. I know nothing about the actual layout of Morocco, so I'm making it up as we go along. But our hero here traveled by camelback from the capital city. It says 4 days southward, and it just doesn't seem to line up with the distances on the included map. And as someone who's actually been there, does this seem about, it just feels arbitrarily slow. Like they were stalling for something.
When we were in the deserts of Morocco, we had to travel slowly for several reasons. Because at night, the sand spirits would come up from the desert, carried by the winds from the east. And these sand spirits were not shaped like humans, but they were more shaped like serpents. And you would have to look for their paths that they would make at night and avoid them during the day. And this paths that we would see would be inky black from the sand from beneath the surface of the Saharan desert, where the sand is so black and cold, Whitmore.
My goodness.
But to answer your question, there's all kinds of things that could slow down the travel in this hostile environment. If you're not on the coast, you're out in the wilds. So I hope your hero made it. Not all do.
That he did, and his young charge did as well. They both made it safe on Camelback. That was a spine-tinglingly excellent performance. Have you considered writing down your adventures in a book similar to these?
No, they're all filed and curated at the Royal Explorers Club, and they're filed biannually to the Queen's Court in the Office of Foreign Affairs. So a lot of this is not privy to civilians here in the greatest country known to man. But it does remind me of something that I've been thinking about while in the wilds off the beaten paths, and maybe you found yourself there, Whitmore. But when is it time, do you think, if you're on a quest or on a hunt, when is it time, do you think, to give it up, pack it up, stay focused on your original intent, and not wander off on side, I was going to say side quest, but you know what I mean, Whitmore. The mission at hand versus the hunt for treasure or food or true love.
The quest for true love. As Whitmore just sort of stares at Lord Campbell-Hughes for a moment and then snaps out of it. The quest for true love, at least, should never dally, but for the rest, it would be whichever need is most pressing.
Got it. Mission focused. The rest are just distractions. I see what you're getting at, Whitmore.
I'm glad you do. I'm not sure I know what I'm getting at, but I suppose in the path of mission criticality, I will pack this for you to go. And he'd take the small tea cake into the kitchen. And while no one's watching, he'd put it into a small brown paper bag. And rather than seal it with a piece of wax or anything, would seal the doggy bag closed with a small kiss and bring it out and hand it to Lord Campbell-Hughes.
Right. Thank you, Whitmore. I'll be at the Royal Explorers Club for most of the day, and I think we're going to have to get crack-a-lackin' on this King of the Shadows. It's most disturbing.
It was quite a horrifying dream, sir.
All right, let's cut there and then check out some conditions. All right, so Lord Campbell-Hughes, you have on the hunt. Do you think that you've mentioned it. I mean, like, do you feel like, you can kind of release that right now?
Yeah, because I want to get mission focused.
Okay. All right. And Whitmore, which one do you think is appropriate to release at this time? In the dark or not ready?
I think at the moment it would be not ready.
Okay. And since it was your vice, Whitmore, you have the option of either stumbling onto a clue, telling me what it is. It just cannot conclusively solve or answer a question for either threat. Okay. Or you can invite Lord Campbell-Hughes to ask you a question. Although considering his current focus, I'm not sure whether he'd ask you a question.
No, the question would be, why are you bothering me? I think in a sort of self-fulfilling prophecy, can the crumpled up, ripped up partial theater flyer from earlier be the clue? So a theater flyer that doesn't actually tell us or a play flyer that doesn't actually tell us where the show is.
Sure, that's not a problem. You can go ahead and put that under, I'm assuming, King of Shadows.
Yes.
All right, great. Let's switch over to Doc and Victor. So, whose vice is it, and where is it going to be?
I have an idea if you're cool with it.
I certainly am.
All right. So in my head, like other Armstrongs and other Monster Hunters have been in Hargrave House before. And the Armstrongs are a bit of a like involved family. So much like in like any sort of academic institution, there are specific rooms titled by people who have given enough funds to the organization. So I think, because it's like a TV show, right? Where we see how big Hargrave House is, but there always seems to be more rooms than there like actually is. So maybe we follow the camera as it goes up a couple stairs, and we see like a plaque next to the door to the Armstrong training facility of Hargrave House. And we see inside, we see the scene cuts in just as Doc like shoots a dummy with a gun, and Victor is there watching, and Victor was just like, is that really that satisfying using that gun?
And Doc, Doc is moving with a kind of urgency, the kind of urgency of someone that's bothered. He's come off a really intense night, and part of that has been his relationship to this thing within him. Right? He was in control of a thing last night that sometimes he isn't, and it took him perhaps a bit further away. And so I think he's got a kind of a grimace on his face of someone that's a little bit bothered, and he's just not staring at you, still staring at the dummy that he just shot down the sights of the revolver, I guess. And goes, I'll be honest, Victor, it is not, at least not on this particular day. I do not find it satisfying at all.
Yes. Yeah, it's almost like it's cheating in a way, if you think about it.
I never thought of it that way.
Yes. Yeah, if you don't want to use that particular gun, I'm not the best at this. The Van Helsings are the ones who are really great at weaponry, really can choose the right one for you. They can use whichever one they want. It's kind of crazy. But let me see here. Do you think you're more of a bludgeoner, stab, flash? Like what kind of sound do you want to make when you hit something?
What kind of sound do I want to make when I hit something? That's a peculiar question. I'm not quite sure. I'll tell you this, and maybe this will help you answer the question that you are asking. When I am not using my firearm, I mostly resort to fisticuffs and find that solves most of my problems. All right.
Yes. Knuckle dusters. Classic. Very very grounded weaponry. And he pulled that like a small box with just this very like if you were gonna use knuckle dusters to propose to someone, like that's how fancy these are, you know? It's incredibly fancy looking. You're not, it doesn't seem like you're supposed to be hitting stuff with it. But Victor like picks one up and just really quick, I think he does the same move he did in the previous night phase where he just like hits one of the dummies in the torso, and it makes like a very satisfying thunk. And it goes, yes, these are good. These are good. Don't let the the gems on them fool you. They're as effective as you would believe. Here, go ahead. Try them out.
Yeah, I think Doc grabs one and kind of like lightly tosses it in his hand to feel the weight, and seems satisfied. Now, as a player, I'm curious, because Victor is like the monster hunter, is he like possessed of a almost superhuman kind of strength and acuity of senses, right? Like, I mean, the fightings you've described has been like from what I've heard and how I've been thinking of it, kind of at the far end of human ability.
Yeah.
Okay.
He is, I picture Victor to be just a little, he's like just past the limits of human capability, but he's also trained for years above that.
Oh wow.
So even
he
when
can stretch it even further.
Yes. Yeah. He can push himself even
Batman
further than that.
Perfect then. Okay, so tell me if this works for you, if you want to go this direction. I think and again, last night Doc was kind of possessed of a control of a thing that he often isn't, and as the day has been blossoming, that is kind of draining from him. That's a thing that he has in the night. But I think maybe for this scene it would be nice if Doc does that thing. He tosses the knuckle duster in his hand, sees the weight, is satisfied, slides it on his fingers, and then like does a couple of blows on the dummy, and it's surprisingly forceful. And he looks at it, the duster's on his hand, goes, "All right, Victor, I gotta say that's a bit more satisfying than I anticipated. Hey, I've got this crazy idea. You tell me if I'm wrong."
Yes.
You strike me as the kind of person, and don't ask me how I know this, but you strike me as the kind of person that has to reach out to the world with a soft touch, lest you break something. And I get the impression that you don't often get to relax those limits and go full chisel. That sound true to you?
Well, I'm at Hargrave House, so most nights, why it's a good outlet for us Armstrongs as being in this house. But sometimes, maybe even recently, yes, you are correct.
All right. Well, I'll tip my cards and let you know that I am more than considerably bothered after my night last night, and I've got just a little bit of energy to work off. And what do you say we do a little bit of sparring, go toe to toe? Not trying to break one another or anything, but well, I think that you and I could maybe help each other that way, and you could let loose. I'm feeling mighty strong, and Doc maybe like looks for a clock or like pulls out a little pocket watch and goes, at least for another 30 minutes, I'm feeling mighty strong. So not an opportunity that comes your way often. What do you say you let loose? Let's see how it goes.
Actually, yes. But we can keep talking as we do this. It's fine. But yeah. Because I
Perfect.
get something. So yeah, I think we cut to us like fighting. I think it's a bit frustrating for Doc because he feels like incredibly strong and like he can like get some things out of it, but like the physical part of you is getting it out. Like Victor is just like blocking hits, or he's letting you like get hits in here and there, but like the rational side of you still know that Victor is just like taking these hits because he's like still just casually talking to you as you're doing this to him. He's like, it's like he's just like a training dummy that's like really good at dodging and stuff, and you're just hitting him. And Victor just goes like, "Here at Hargrave House, I came here in like a, all right, that was good. Yeah, just tighten it up. Here at Hargrave House, I came here kind of just like to get away from my family. They can be a lot, like a lot. But when you're with the Armstrong, you stay sharp. And he just like does a quick jab. You can feel the air move across your face as he stops right before. Every day you're fighting for your life, and it keeps you in it the whole time. I think this is the first time really where I feel duller. Doc, I don't know if you're an actual doctor. I've met many doctors who don't actually, take the moniker as just to have it. And then Victor like does like a quick jab to your, like a quick like hook to your torso, and he does it quick enough so you can react and tighten up. It still hurts, but it's not fast enough where he couldn't react. It's like how do you stay sharp in such a languid, relaxed place like this?
And so I think Doc's tone of voice is, I mean, obviously a lot more stressed than Victor's. I would point out the difference, though. It's not because he's winded, because again, like this is the trail end of him being possessed of something a bit more than is normal for a human form. But he's his tone of voice is really stressed because his brain is like still like it doesn't have the fight logic that Victor has by like, unfathomable distance between the kind of fight knowledge and logic that Victor has and what Doc is working with. So he's just like trying to mentally keep up with things. And goes, that's a puzzling question, Victor. How do I keep sharp? And I'm like moving my arms around. You can't see it because I'm on camera, like kind of goofily. How do I keep sharp when things are languid? Well, I'll be honest, though it may seem otherwise, I'm not one to ever really relax. And like, I think that culminates in a really sloppy push back of Victor, because Victor's been like operating really close to Doc's space, like a masterful pugilist. It's like a really sloppy push. I simply, I don't know. It just sometimes feels easier to keep everything inside really tight.
But you seem so relaxed all the time. It's a bit of surprise, honestly. You take a morning constitution, you call it, every day.
Well, what can I say? I've learned how to perform in a show, and sometimes the show is me.
I see. So you're actually a lot. Okay. All right. I guess it's easier to tell now than day to day.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in here, as I suspect is the same for you. A lot going on in there that I don't know about or even realize all the time, and I do my best not to be surprised. But
yeah, I guess just the fear of death has been what has, I guess, death around every corner has been what's been like pushing me this whole time. It's weird to not have that,
Well, I have to wonder. Well, really, I wonder two things, but the first thing for sure is you're good at hunting these things that we hunt. I'm new to it, but it's still quite clear to me that not only do you come from a storied family and have years of practice, but you are truly just real good at it. And I wonder if you have much experience being on the other side of things and not hunting, but being hunting.
Good question.
As you ponder that, let's go over conditions. I should have given Doc a condition.
No, you did.
Did I?
Yeah,
like-
have drink will mug.
Ah,
Mm,
okay.
mhm.
Somehow like it disappeared or something like that. So, all right.
I remembered it like 30 minutes into the session. Had to scroll back up to find it. I was like, oh wait.
Okay, cool.
Mhm.
All right. So, what do you think? I mean,
I think
like having this.
I'm considerably more sober now.
Okay,
Mhm. Yeah, it is just yeah.
sure.
Um,
And then
I
Victor,
think I think
amateur.
Doc being like I'm also kind of just like I'm also very stressed out about stuff. Like maybe a different thing, kind of like the camaraderie of just like, hey, there's other people here. And I guess just a vote of confidence of just like, it sucks, but like Victor being like, yeah, I'm able to train this person really well because I am just that much further along. So like yes, my skills are still here. I just have to focus more on them, kind of deal.
Knowing when to hold back, I would
Yeah.
imagine.
So yeah, exactly. Now it's like, okay, this is how, yeah, I don't know. I just got lost in the moment. I just have to keep my focus up and I can make sure not to hurt anyone I want to.
exactly.
Yeah.
All righty. So if you feel you can release it, go ahead and take that off. Same for you, Doc. And then I guess Victor, since it was your vice hitting things, then you would have the bonus of either creating a clue, telling me what it is, or you would invite Doc to ask you a question about your past.
I want there to be 3 threats at once. So I will invite the question. So less clues.
Ooh. Okay. A question.
Do you want some time to think about that? Because I can go back to Whitmore and
Yeah, I think I could benefit from that.
okay, great. So you two have had the vulnerable move, and then I imagine that Lord Campbell-Hughes is like, getting ready to book it to REC, and then Whitmore, it's like, giving him the little care package. All right, great. Yeah, I don't know if you had like anything that you wanted to do to wrap up the scene before you went off your respective directions. So let me do a really quick review. So you will be at the REC, Lord Campbell-Hughes, and Whitmore. You're going to. How will you be? I'm just out of curiosity before I go back to Doc and Victor. How will you be investigating the flyer?
So I imagine that Victorian London, much like New York's Broadway, Chicago's, I don't remember the street all the theaters are on, but there's a theater district. And I imagine it's Whitmore going about with this flyer in hand, trying to match up like logos, partial names, essentially going to like all of the places a theater would be, and spending his day around the theater district, looking for where a dark show might be put on in an actual theater, not necessarily the basement of a church.
And then I'm going to just let you know, Lord Campbell-Hughes, it's like, you find yourself out of the cab and at the REC. Now, do you talk with them individually, Lady Winifred and Lord Anthony, or are you talking with them like as a little conclave?
I think since they're going to be separate cases, I think I would have to do them separately.
Okay, that's fine.
So
Who do you want to
I guess 2 different scenes.
Okay, who do you want to tackle first?
I guess Lady Winifred first.
Okay, let me make a note of that before I go back to Doc. All right, Doc. So asking the question?
Yeah, absolutely. What was I going to say? So we've established, Paul, that Victor in that sparring session with the Doc, Victor was maybe holding back on like the kinds of moves he was making, the fight logic is what I come back to.
Yeah,
but wasn't having to hold back so much on his like raw strength and speed. So I think the question I want to ask you is, when was the last time that you were able to do that with someone? Fight like without holding back on your post-human level of strength and speed.
Mhm. Last time I could do that, I think it was right before I left for Hargrave's house. It kind of just happened. Well, they were mad that I was leaving in such a rush. But the last bare knuckle drag out fight I really had has to be with my fiance. Yeah.
That's remarkable. I'm sorry, Victor. That's just remarkable for me to hear.
Yeah. Well, I have things to do. And I think it's kind of just like a quick exit. Like
Mhm.
as he walks out, Victor will like pick up the gun. And this is the first time we've ever seen him like unsure with a weapon in his hand, point it at a dummy and just miss it by a mile. And Victor just goes like, fuck, shit, hate these things. And he drops it back on the table and walks out.
We can work on that.
I don't need it. I don't want it.
Sure you don't. Totally. Just a suggestion. I'm here if you need it.
Fabulous. Oh my gosh. All right. So Doc is heading out to do his little solo thing. And then Victor, you are headed to meet your friend or your would you call her a friend or would you call her just a family acquaintance?
I think family acquaintance or what's that? It's not a coworker, it's like a colleague.
Okay.
I think like colleague would be the best way to phrase it.
Okay, great. So we'll head over to her office and then Doc is where would you specifically like to go, Doc?
Well, it seems like Lord Hughes and Whitmore have some things they're busy with. So I'm wondering if it would be best if instead of researching the elixir, I went to go find Cobweb. Maybe I could push for information about where the slugger himself is. We don't think I have any leads on that. Like where is he hiding?
And then are you going to go back to the bar where you saw her?
Yeah, I think that would be probably where I would start. And if this is like us setting up a daytime move, just like to get to running into her, I think I could probably tap Lil Kenny.
Oh.
Like, hey kid, where's that tall scary lady?
All right. Okay. Fun. All right. So I'm gonna start with beside from Doc, who has Calliope, how's everybody else? You know what? I'm already gonna put like Lord Campbell-Hughes over at the REC, but then Whitmore and Victor, how are you getting to your respective places? Are you just sharing a cab or are you going separately? What are you doing? Walking?
I don't think Whitmore would be presumptuous enough to get a cab just for himself. So if Victor's getting one, Whitmore would share it. Otherwise, I think Whitmore would walk.
I think it just has like a cool little scene. Victor, like Whitmore, you're like walking, and at some point, like a cat passes by, and Victor goes like, "Whitmore, why are you walking? Come on, just hop on." I'm not gonna stop moving though. Just you gotta keep up and just hop in.
Whitmore would, in that sort of dad jogging after a kid on a bike kind of way, just slowly start picking up speed before hopping into the back of the cab. Sorry, I wasn't on mute for that cackle, Mads.
Sorry, hoping for that reaction. So very gratified. Sorry. I wrote combat walk into the cab. Okay. Sorry. So Yeah, I mean, like, are you setting up for a vulnerable move with Whitmore? Is that what you're doing,
Uh,
Victor?
no, I just wanted to have it like if it was just a question of like how we're getting there. I think that was just
Oh,
like a short like a short cute scene,
okay,
just between two people, and we can just like get dropped off at our respective places.
got it. Okay, no problem. All right, just wanted to make sure. And then let's go with Lord Campbell-Hughes. You are at the REC, and let's see. You seek out Lady Winifred. Lady Winifred Wheatley Grainworth usually dresses in tailored men's suits and wears a monocle and always wears gloves. And yes, her family happens to own the headquarters of Scotland Yard at 4 Whitehall Palace. She sees you and goes, "Ah, Lord Campbell-Hughes, what can I do for you, sir?"
It's not really what you can do for me. It's what you can do for Hargrave House. You see, things are starting to intensify as dark forces align against our beloved city and empire. And there's a case that me and my associates are about to tackle head on, which involves a fight club, a unlicensed boxing league that operates throughout the city. Last night was Whitechapel, but they move about. I would ask, and I'll explain why, but I would ask that that Scotland Yard kind of peel back and ignore some of the possibly explosive violence that may result from our Hargrave House taking on this unlawful order of pugilists.
Has it gotten that bad then that you need to possibly have combustible resolution for such a
No,
thing?
not burning anything down,
Uh-huh.
but that was more of a metaphor.
Uh-huh.
There have been some of the fighters that have died, but they seem to be part of a criminal element from what we can tell. And one of their members we're either going to recruit because they're invincible, or we're going to have to destroy them.
I will do what I can. Basically, they Scotland Yard will always have something that they need to accomplish, and I can make sure that they are not in the same part of the city that you are
Well, there may be
investigating.
some fallout that may need to be, cleaned up. But I
It will
assure
be
you,
timed properly. Don't worry. They won't be coming to interfere or to be collateral damage. We want to avoid that, don't we now?
we do. And I assure you, Lady Winifred, that whatever we find, it will be logged and cataloged here at the REC for your perusal.
I appreciate that. You're always so dependable and keeping good records. Very valuable.
It's what I do.
And I appreciate that. Thank you very much for keeping complete and yet not too detailed. There's a there's a DI that's a bit overzealous when it comes to providing detail. So I prefer the conciseness of your journal entries.
Stay safe. Stay vigilant.
You as well. Long live the Queen.
Long live the Queen.
All right, let's go over to the scene slides over to Doc. Doc, you find yourself riding Calliope. Now, I mean, you know where this bar is.
Right.
So it's not like you necessarily need Kenny there, So, I mean.
Well, I guess I set that up just in case, like, let's say she wasn't there, right?
Okay.
But if, I know where the bar is. So if she's there at the bar,
Mm-hmm.
then I absolutely know how to get there.
Yeah.
I think I even know the name of the bar if I go back far enough.
I don't even remember if we established that the name of the bar, to be honest. Did we? Because it would be in the London tab if you did, or should be in the London tab.
Hmm.
I don't see one. So whenever you do come up with the name of this wonderful bar, especially with the oh dear, the piano player.
Elway, yeah.
Elway. Yeah,
Yeah, I do
definitely
have
should
that.
come up with a name for this seedy bar that you go to.
You're right.
I imagine Elway is there. Perhaps not playing the piano. That's usually reserved for when it gets later in the evening for entertainment purposes. But yeah, he's hanging and yeah, maybe helping clean up the bar while you're there.
Elway, it's surprising for me to see you do any kind of honest work. Is this how it is when the sun is up?
Yeah, business is slow, sir. I mean, got to do what we can to make sure that it's ready for the patrons when they come in. So,
Elway, for someone that supplies me with so much lovely elixir, you are the most sobered, soberly expressed person I can imagine. I was just poking at you.
I know that you have a certain sense of humor, but
Right.
sometimes I hear you, and sometimes I hear other things.
Well, now I've got to ask, what other things?
The music.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't just play for my health, sir. I play for entertainment, but I also play what I hear.
Well, that's more profound than I expected at this time of day, Elway. And I want you to know that I'm honoring that experience here. I'm not sure I have the tools to unpack it. I'm looking for a tall friend of mine. Cobweb, I think her name was.
Mm.
It was
It's
just a couple nights ago. That table over there is where we met.
yeah. She's quite striking. Absolutely.
Say that again.
She hasn't been by recently. She's not necessarily a regular. We sometimes see her. Sometimes she's in the company of the big bloke, the big wide fella. You definitely don't want to piss him off.
Big wide fella. Does that sound like the Shoreditch slugger to me?
I mean, you don't really have a description of the Shoreditch slugger except for the fact he's quite tall. He's quite demigodish, I guess.
Right. Oh, so sorry. Let me rephrase my question then. I feel like I've had an objection as a lawyer. Does that description remind me of anyone that was present the night I met Cobweb?
No.
Okay, gotcha. There we go. That's the correct question then. Well, that does frustrate my plans a little bit, Elway. She hasn't been by in a while. Well, any idea where I could ask after her?
Have you taken a shine to us, sir?
Well, I don't mean to be a bother or anything.
Well, not bothering me at all. But if you're really curious about her, let me see. I'm trying to call my memory.
Sure. If there's one thing I am, Elway, it's curious.
Oh, you show that every single night, every time you take interest in other people and start asking them questions. Maybe want to be careful with that. You might get your nose bitten off.
Oh, do tell, Elway.
Well, Americans are quite curious all the time. Just poking your nose where it might be misconstrued. Just saying.
I'll take that advice to heart best I can.
I'm gonna say here, this is when, like, as you're jawing with Elway, you see someone in the corner, and he's like looking like he's nursing something, like something in a shot glass, and he's got bloodshot eyes, and he's definitely not crying, although he probably is sort of crying, but
Mhm.
like the lights are dim here in this very tight corner and such, and yeah, he's just kind of nursing his drink, and Elway will kind of jut a chin over to him and say, yeah, that one, he lost someone recently to some sort of brutal fight, and yeah, he hasn't been doing so well because of it.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Maybe my boisterous American demeanor could lift his spirits a little bit.
You can try. I mean, I gather it's it's the death of a very close friend.
That's always a tragedy. I appreciate the good tip, Elway. Really quick before I go, you're not implying that he knows anything about where Cobweb is, right?
He might not,
Mhm.
but use your American curiosity to find out.
I'm sure I will. Either way, just know I have a standing request that you make sure I don't miss Cobweb next time she swings through. All right?
You want me to let her know that you're interested, eh?
You know what, Elway? I'll let you use your best judgment on that.
Could be a rough customer.
Oh, all the best ones are. Customers, that is.
You remind me of a very large dog that used to come sniffing round here, just used to seek scratches and scritches and pets from all of the patrons, just getting his nose into everything. Everyone liked him, though.
Sounds like a hound after my own heart.
Could be, sir. Come back when we're more open and pick your particular poison again.
You know I will, Elway.
Absolutely.
I'll leave you be now. I mosey on over to the sad, lonely drinker.
Okay. And then we're going to head over to Victor. Victor, you find yourself sorry. Let's see. Okay. You find yourself over at your colleague's place. Would you say that she has just a place in a row home? Like, do you think she has a place on Harley Street? What do you think?
She tends to move around a lot, but she has like the equivalent. I don't know what it is, Victorian equivalency, but like just like she makes enough money where she can have like a small flat that she returns to
Okay.
in London
Sure.
when she's back in town.
Okay. All right. So then you find yourself there. Doing what she does, but I mean, like, still keeping herself very frugal and everything like that. I think you have to do many flights of steps to be able to get where she's at, though.
And yeah, he climbs these steps.
Mhm.
Victor just goes, with how old she is, I wonder how she gets up all of these. And he gets up the rest of the way. I guess there's like a door at the end of a hall, and he just like knocks.
And as you make your last knock, the door opens and you see this little woman. She's kind of bird-like, like with somewhat wrinkly, papery skin and like very friendly countenance, soft spoken, but she looks tired. Ah, is that Victor I see? Ah,
Do you mind if I just roll my thing now?
yes, go ahead.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So menu move is with present. I don't have anything. I'll just roll straight for now. Ooh, that's actually good. 6 plus 4 is a 10.
Okay.
And on a 10, I can read the move.
Yep.
And there it is. One of privilege. When you leverage your family's name in order to get information or assistance, and in this case, it's just because my family just knows her from my past, what I've
Sure.
established.
Mhm.
I roll with presence, and on a 10, the person has a history with your family and will help for the remainder of this day phase. So I guess with like the scene or something.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay,
Mhm.
so let's see. Any information they give me in the form of a clue. All right, great.
Mhm.
And then she invites you in. It's like, come in, come in, come in.
And Effie, long time no see. How have you been?
Busy. And she ruffles her hair. That's in a bun, like, releasing wisps as she runs her fingers through her hair. It seems to be quite strange these days. I have heard of people suffering from just some strange delusions and just disorientation. Some getting hysterical. They don't,
Mhm.
they might be crying in the middle of the street, crying about being in this play. Something. Yes. How are
Ugh.
you doing?
I just wanted to check in. Remind me, what's the name of the man I sent here?
Oh, yeah, hold on. His name is
The one with
Francis
the
Oakes. Francis
one
Oakes.
Francis, yeah.
Mhm.
I just wanted to check in, just to make sure. Francis has been coming around, correct, to deal with his broken ribs and injured liver.
I had not seen anybody yet. So I don't know. Is this someone that you're referring to me?
Yes,
What happened?
there was this fight club that our grave house is investigating. I wanted to make a good impression, and my I got away from myself and lost a bit of control, broke some ribs, ruptured the liver a little bit.
You haven't done that since you were a child. What happened?
I guess just being away from home really made me less focused.
She touches your face.
Mhm.
She reaches up to your temple and she looks you in the eyes. And her little elderly eyes like kind of look at you with sympathy. And you can tell that she's
Yeah,
kind of feeling and seeing some stuff
yeah,
from touching
yeah,
you.
yeah. She could, I guess, because like the injury here is more like mental.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I guess she'll just like feel the moment of regret when Victor felt the ribs underneath his like knuckles shatter.
Yeah. And she'll kind of like, you feel you feel her hand like kind of almost grip your face. And then she'll kind of like,
All right, okay, all right. Mm-hmm.
sorry,
Yes.
sorry.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I have not seen this person that you say you sent to me. Do you expect him to come today?
They better damn well a regular doctor, at least one. They don't seem very, I guess you can never tell in one of those places, but it seemed like they were more tradesman types. They would need someone much more expensive that they can afford for that kind of injury. You know my family. We are trained to be good at what we do, whether we want to be or not.
Well, at least we can isolate exactly where you hurt him.
Yes.
But I can only help if he actually makes it here. So I hope he does. I hope he receives the benefit, as you have suggested. We cannot, as you well know, we cannot force any such service on anyone.
Sure. Yeah. Yes. We can't force them to come here. You're right. Well, I have while I'm here, you worked with the Armstrongs and everyone else. I have maybe a couple questions. Maybe you could consult for a case we are having. And like I can finish these questions. Like we can cut away from here and we can have other scenes first before we come back to this one.
Sure. I'm going to give you your clue when we
Yeah.
get back to that. All right. And then so Whitmore, I think you find yourself like in the theater district, like, in the West End and such, and you're trying to search for this place that kind of has like a matching name or what have you, right? When you're let out of the cab, I think everybody's bustling in the street. They're like, making their way to the different locations. And like, you see some people like looking like they're cleaning the sidewalk as best as they can, like brushing through the street and such. And then like some people like looking at what's going to be showing in the evening, and other people getting like on smoke breaks or getting ready to set up for the evening. And you hear almost like it's coming from the sky for some weird reason. You hear what sounds like the sound of an audience. It's like kind of like laughing, or oh, look at him trying to find what he's wanting to do. And then you hear like applause, but it's not coming from anyone around you. It sounds like it's coming from the sky.
Are you familiar with panto theater, where an actor on stage deliberately asks the audience for a solution to an onstage problem? The sort of, if I were to picture where Captain Hook and Peter Pan are in a duel, and Peter Pan is hiding from Captain Hook. Captain Hook would deliberately ask the audience if they've seen Peter Pan. And the audience would, of course, yell out, no, we haven't seen him, or he's right over there, or other unhelpful things. I honestly think in this moment, Whitmore would look to the sky and say, well, if you're so smart in finding them, where would I look?
Go ahead and roll information with sensitivity, but it's also like it could be really anything except for vitality. So I'm gonna let you pick what you think makes sense for this particular situation. It's just so unique that I think we want to have fun with this. Go ahead.
Absolutely. And for those of you with access to the chat, I've posted a link if you're curious about the type of bizarro theater I've just described. Ignore the clicks. I was trying to set up a complex role and failed horribly. Honestly, it would probably be presence that I'd make the role with.
Okay, that sounds great. Okay.
That's a 10.
Nice. All right. So, all right, I'm going to buzz back to Lord Campbell-Hughes. Lord Campbell-Hughes, you find yourself like, having talked with Lady Winifred, and now you're going to head over to Anthony Wode's study.
Yes.
Okay. And you find him puttering around there as he normally is. Sir Anthony is like, pouring through his books or like looking through his shelves. It's like, oh, well, James, he's like, you find yourself back here like awfully soon. What do you need researching now?
At this point, Sir Anthony, as things are starting to emerge from the shadows in London, it may be time for you to join me in Hargrave House so I don't have to travel to the REC every day. We have a suite that you would be able to use, but it's offers always on the table, Sir Anthony.
Oh, but of course. But I mean, I have all my things here. I mean, I know that there are wonderful volumes in Hargrave House, but I happen to know, and he starts running his hands across all the wonderful bindings. I know where everything is, even if it doesn't look like it is in some sort of order, as he kind of looks down at the piles on the floor.
I'd like to test that. Pull out the quickest thing you can find on the King in Shadows.
Oh, that peculiarity, eh? Ah, yes. And he'll actually close his eyes, like going to the challenge. He will close his eyes and like, kind of like reach out in front of him. And as he touches the shelves or reaches down on the floor for one of the piles, the first thing that he finds is a parchment. And he opens his eyes as he takes up the crackling pamphlet of parchment. And he immediately turns pages until he gets to one particular page, and he reads a line from Lysistrata by Aristophanes. There is no beast more stubborn than a woman, and neither fire nor leopard is more ruthless. That's quite the interesting little line, isn't it?
I don't see the connection, Sir Anthony.
No. Wait. There's more here. And he closes his eyes again. And he reaches through and around, stops, but then reaches again. For some reason, his hand stops behind one of the books that's on his shelf. And then he'll reach through and then like almost sweep some of these books off of the shelf. A very dramatic gesture that you would not have expected from Sir Anthony. And behind the books are a set of mirrors. And reflected in these mirrors is a smoky, slithering darkness. And he looks up at you after opening up his eyes and seeing what he's done and goes, that is another type of answer.
You're going to think I'm obsessed, but I'm not. I'm telling you right now, I know it sounds like what I'm about to say is that I'm obsessed, but I am not. Just don't say it, Sir Anthony. But is there a chance that this King in Shadows could in fact be the king of the unseelie court in the realm of the Fae?
He winces and looks at you, kind of like leaning in to you. Oh wait, he says, "That's not your line."
Hey, what? No, yes. What did you just say, Sir Anthony?
And he kind of like stops and looks around. And he picks up the pamphlet and waves it in your face. It's like, this line from Lysistrata. Take it. Figure out how it is connected to that. And he points to the mirrors with the smoky darkness.
I don't want to look at that anymore. You put those books back up there. I was going to invite you to go see The King of the Shadows with me, Sir Anthony, but I don't know if that's a good idea.
I don't think it's a good idea at all. And he starts to slowly and confusedly start to bring his books back onto his shelf, covering those mirrors that you saw.
Don't forget about my offer. I think you would be a great member of the team, and I can get that cleared. So
Okay.
think about it. Don't say no. Say you'll think about it, Sir Anthony.
I will think about it. You make this offer every single time.
I just think we would do a lot of, I think a lot of good things would happen.
He shrugs as he keeps putting the books back on the shelf. Doc, yeah, you go over to this table and talk with this fella that's, again, nursing this drink. It looks like he's been nursing this drink for hours, to be honest. And he's just looking like he's starting to put his hand, his head on his hand. And as you get closer, you smell the cheap liquor. I mean, you got your particular poison, but man, this guy's he's been nursing something for a long time because he just reeks,
Mhm.
He will actually look up as you approach. You ever lose a friend?
Hmm. Yes. Yes, I have.
And just kind of shakes his head and says, it is, I don't know. I don't think any feeling is worse than this. Losing my best mate.
I can't disagree with you. Takes up a lot of space inside the human heart, that kind of grief.
Thinking about it, he didn't have to. He didn't have to do that fight. He could have thrown it. I mean, maybe they would have made fun of him, sure, but he didn't have to keep going.
Why do you think he did?
Because that's the energy. That's the energy you get when you fight the shortage slugger. At least that's what I've heard. I've watched. I didn't necessarily have enough wherewithal to want to do it myself. Not the slugger, no. But he did. Phineas did. I mean, yeah. Phineas did, and he paid for it with his life. I'm going to go up against him. I'm going to prove my worth in this miserable hierarchy, and I'm going to go up against him. Yeah, invincible.
Why would you do a fool thing like that?
Invincible, they say he is. I bet a pistol says different. Yeah.
So you.
I bet the noose down at the Old Bailey says different.
How do you mean to acquaint him with that?
Oh. All these dolts are too scared to go to Scotland Yard then. About him.
Yeah.
About club rules.
I wouldn't be surprised if Scotland Yard was too scared to go to him.
They might be, but if I proof that he's the reason why all these people, why Phineas died. Yeah.
Maybe
They
that would help.
They have to do something.
Somebody does.
Yeah.
Do you know where he's at?
Who?
That shortage slugger. I wonder that. Where he's hiding.
I don't know where they keep him during the day. I mean, supposedly he rests up for the bouts at night. The champion of a couple of the fights will work their way up to fighting the slugger himself. Phineas did, but he didn't make it.
It sounds like he fought valiantly.
He did.
Listen, I'll let you in on a little secret. I need to do something about the slugger. I've got friends. But blast it, we're at a heck of a dead end. Not really sure what thread to be pulling on to unravel this whole thing. Now, if you know something that I don't, I can go a long way towards getting this taken care of, whether it's by Scotland Yard or otherwise.
Information move
Mhm.
with presence.
Okay, we got presence. I'd like to try to utilize one of my items
Okay.
from my room.
Okay.
And the two things that stand out to me, both would essentially be kind of like a bribe. One of which would be just taking whatever photo, which we have not established, is inside my brass locket and giving it to him as a way to maybe remember Phineas, whether or not he has a photo, maybe he put something in there, or bribing him with I imagine with a time period, a like opium-based painkiller from my medicine bag. I don't know if either of those sound particularly good or like they would even work in this instance.
I mean, you're encouraging a fella to drown his sorrows and like take a pill to work them away.
Mhm.
Or you're going to give like, I don't know, like something very sentimental and meaningful, which may only be sentimental and meaningful for you. I mean, I don't know how you want to parlay that into giving it to him to give you more information.
I can work with that. I go, listen, I think that I don't need to tell you that this is important. That shortage slugger is getting away with too much, too often. But well, like I told you earlier, I've lost my fair share of friends. And there's not much that helps with it. And I wouldn't recommend trying to forget. I think that's fruitless. But remembering in the right light, that's always done right by me. So here, I've had this for a long time, and I slide out this photo, pop it in my pocket, so the locket is empty. I've had this for a long time, and it's been a good way for me to remember some of my closest friends that I've lost. Now, I'll give it to you, so you can remember your friend Phineas. And when this is all over, and maybe when time passes, it won't be such a sore memory.
Is this a sore memory for you?
Yeah. To be honest, it is a little bit. But truth be told, my friend didn't just die. But that's a whole nother story.
And did you roll?
I did not. Does that justify me using the
Sure.
locket though? Cool.
Yeah, I like
I'll
that
take-
conversation.
Cool,
So with advantage.
That's 3d6, right?
3d6, take the 2 highest, plus
Oh.
your presence.
Okay, that's +1. So let's roll 6, 7, 8. Looks like that is a 9.
Okay.
So close.
Still get a clue though, so that's
Yeah.
fine. I will give you a complication in a bit, but like let me just give you the clue first as we're going through all this stuff.
Okay.
You know, he takes a look at this and then he'll kind of think on it, and then he'll ask you if you're familiar with London, being American as you are.
Mhm.
But he will list for you on the back of this picture. He will list for you all of the locations of the Bout Club meetings. And I think later on, when you take this back to Lord Campbell-Hughes or, to back to the house or Whitmore, I think you'll realize that the locations of the Bout Club meetings, and this is a capital C clue, the locations of the Bout Club meetings form a curious pattern on the London map. That is your clue. The locations of Bout Club meetings form a curious pattern on the map.
Perfect.
All right, I owe you a complication, but I want to get through everybody's
Mhm.
clues first. And Victor, you're also jonesing for a Shoreditch Slugger clue, yeah?
Yeah, probably that one makes the most sense with.
Okay.
Actually, no. I mean, she mentioned the people around town, so maybe that might be good. Maybe she's like seen a patient who, like, about the theater stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
So which one do you want? Like
I'll take one for the King and Shadow. Actually,
Okay.
since she mentioned it, yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, that's fine. It's starting to get prevalent even now.
Mhm. Yeah.
I think this is fitting for you, especially because you would have experience with this. I think she mentions like the folks that she's seen that are suffering from some of these symptoms. She notices, or she tells you, of this dark curling thing that is usually seen in the vicinity of where these people go delusional. It's a shadowy sigil scrawled on usually a brick wall nearby. They'll chatter about it. They'll whisper about it. They'll make these gasping mentions of this sigil that they see. And all they can say is that it's like some sort of dark curling thing they see on a nearby wall before they see other things, or feel other things, or cry in the middle of the street for absolutely no reason. Do you know what it means? Has your family ever seen anything like this before?
Well, I think I have to consult the home of monsters that I have back in my desk. All I know is I hate these sort of threats. This involves so much more abstract thinking outside the box. I can't just throw an axe at it and hope for the best. Maybe I can. I do have dynamite. Maybe that's it. It has to be bigger.
I'm
If I
sure.
destroy all the theaters in London, will it still be?
I'm sure one of the first lessons that you have learned is fire does not solve everything.
I mean, yeah, I know.
Okay.
This would be nice, Effie, for once. These,
Yes, but this is not one of those times. I mean, I'm sure there have been wonderful instances where your family has enjoyed the combustible nature of wherever things are haunted, but it is not a common solution.
yes, I know. This just isn't my cup of tea. Yeah, my cousin, you know the one. He gets off on this sort of hunt. He fucking you know him. Wish he was here, honestly, but guess
Do
I'll have
you?
to deal with it.
Do
No,
you?
I don't want
I
him
didn't think
anywhere.
so.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank God he's out of the country right now.
I know you have not got along with Rosa Crucius very often.
It's so hard to say his name.
Crush.
Crush. Yeah. Yeah.
Rosa Crucius.
Rosa
Anyway.
Mhm.
Anyway.
All right. Well,
I
it was good to see you.
will hope it's very good
Mhm.
seeing you
see
too.
you.
Take care of yourself.
Mhm.
And remember, you have more power and skill than so many of these others. You must be responsible with this.
Yes, I know. An Armstrong must be responsible. What we've been told our whole lives. Thank you. for the
I'm
reminder.
sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Thank you, Essie. It's good to see you. Good to see a friend.
It's good seeing you too. I hope to see your acquaintance
Mhm.
to help him with his ailments.
He's probably dead. And I think with that, he will just live.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And Whitmore, you are searching for a clue for King of Shadows? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Ah, yes, you've asked the audience. Yes.
I've broken the fourth wall and asked the audience to solve the riddle for me.
This is a perfect clue. I think in response, the wind begins to whip up from around you, from below you, and then above you. Almost like invisible hands snatching at your coat and your pants and your well, hold on. I can never remember which one's worse, like trousers or pants. Anyway.
Trousers is the over one, pants is the underwear.
Okay. So, yes, snatching at your clothing and your hat, almost lifting it off your head. But then surrounding you, as the wind starts to die down, is this flutter of handwritten notes that are just starting to swirl around you and then gently cascade to encircle you.
Whitmore knows better than to attempt to snatch one out of the air and look foolish, so he would pick one up off the ground, maybe a couple, and read through the notes.
Mm-hmm. They are a collection. I love this clue. They are a collection of handwritten notes regarding a fragrant void by someone called Atticus Whately. I'm smiling because it's one of my favorite threats.
Excellent.
And I'm going to pop that into the...
And then, if I may just continue the panto for just
Sure.
a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Whitmore would look back up at the sky, tip his hat, and say, a map would have been more helpful, and gather up the clues and head back to Hargrave House.
Okay. All right. And then just zipping back to Doc real quick. Doc, your complication after talking to, he introduces himself as Denny. Denny Baker. And he asks you, so, do you plan on going? Do you plan on going to Bout Club? The next one?
I can't say I've considered it. Are you still planning on going, Denny?
Yeah, I am. If you plan on going, can you do me a favor?
It depends on the favor.
If we happen to go up against each other, I will give you something. In return, though, I would ask that if you win and you go up against the slugger, don't meet him with your fists. Per Bout Club rules. Meet him with a gun. You're an American, right?
True,
You
I
have
am.
guns where you are.
Yes, it's true.
Don't even let him get a hand on you like he got a hand on Phineas. Just shoot him dead.
So it wouldn't be enough if I took care of him. You want me to sling lead at him?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think that would be a great gesture for Phineas. In honor to Phineas, and he kind of stamps his glass up and then toasts you to Phineas.
Indeed. To Phineas.
And he chugs it down. So your condition is promise of a gun. And I think we can close out day phase in this case. A lot going on. For sure. And yeah, it's nearing the like 20-minute mark, I think. So I think we're just going to kind of like roll into like a slight wrap up before dusk phase and just kind of like look at what we've got so far. So Shoreditch Slugger has well, actually, let's see. There's 2 questions for the Shoreditch Slugger. So just as a reminder, what is the source of the Shoreditch Slugger's superhuman strength? That's a complexity 2. Basically, it's like if you can steal some of that power for yourselves in answering this question, then you could have access to the custom move Eternal Man. Okay. If you want to resolve the threat, you would have to answer the question, what is the Shoreditch Slugger's weakness? Which is a 6 complexity. Okay. Right now you have 7 clues on the dock to answer, one of the questions, both of the questions, but like, knowing that the 6 would probably be at a negative if you decided to answer both questions. So, I mean, again, that's a decision for you guys to make as a group. All right. And then we have our new threat, King in Shadows, which you now have 5 clues on the dock to answer the question, what signs precede a performance of the play and where will it appear next? A complexity of 2. Okay. Actually, let me like release this so this way you can see. There we go. So you want to discover the location of the new venue for this particular threat. Sorry. And then you can watch the performance during any following night phase while this threat is active. And then you would unlock the next question, which is, most likely the resolution. So, yeah, you have to start with that particular question. We could also take some time right now if anybody has any particular question that you want to answer. We can call this dusk, just going into dusk phase. to get ready for night for next time. What do you think? What would you like to do?
For the King Shadows, for the locations in the description, is there like, does it mean like locations within the mystery itself, or is it like?
Oh yeah, so locations, I mean, like, you can go try and see the two people that
Mm,
were very prominent, like, were brought over to Bethlehem Royal Hospital, which is essentially Bedlam. You can try to talk with them. Rainley, I can't pronounce it properly. Rainley Chapel is where the last performance was seen of the King of Shadows. No guarantee that it's going to be back there again.
and we can't attend until we answer that question, right?
Correct.
Gotcha.
Right.
So that then begs the question of, did we want to consider the complexity 2 question for the Shoreditch Slugger so that someone can get the Eternal Man move?
Yeah.
Or did we want?
We all share that move.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Okay.
It's essentially a threat move. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Cool. How does that move work again? I thought I had read it somewhere, but I can't find it.
Like, it's like each hunter, you get like an extra box that works like a mask. If Mads tells us we're about to die, you can mark that move and you will tell us how superhuman strength or something helps you not die, basically.
But you all share the track. That's the thing. So while you do share the move, like, you share the track if like you decide to mark it. So once it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So it's one use shared amongst the entire crew of hunters.
No, the track is like has 3 boxes. So
okay.
it can be used. The move kit itself can be used 3 times.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I think it's worth it too. I think at the very least, narratively, I think Doc is interested in it. We haven't got like.
I've got like 2. It's a two difficulty. So if we just use 2 of the clues, I've got a theory that's pretty easy. Because I'd like for us to have access to that too. And so my theory is that this advertisement for this botanical elixir, that in it is what makes it powerful, or what makes it work. The magic sauce is water from the river Styx, which you get from our dossier on the Greek hero Achilles. But that's only 2. That's a straight up roll.
Yeah, that's a straight roll. No bonuses.
I mean, we could add in from the river Styx after the wreck of a ship coming into the Thames for the series of untimely dock worker deaths. So you can only harvest this water after a shipwreck.
That's pretty good.
That is really cool. That is awesome.
I like that a lot.
I see the connection.
Yeah.
And this is not a timed threat like the King of Shadow, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to take it to its nth degree.
Okay. So you want to roll with a +1 on this one? Question is, who rolls?
Daniel, your theory.
Oh, you mute?
Let me give it a +1.
Okay.
And I will roll it. I've got an 8.
Perfect. All right, you're right. And you can go to, well, let's see, Eternal Man. Let me see if I can paste it somewhere. Give me a second. Eternal Man. I don't know how well these boxes are going to show up, so pardon if it looks weird.
There's been plenty of campaigns where we could have used 3 extra masks. That's really that's gonna help.
I'm gonna place it as like not. I can't put it as one of the clues. Damn it. You know what? I'm gonna put it as like underneath the question. So it's not a question per se. It's just, here it is. This is the custom move. Eternal Man is, you command some of the Shoreditch Slugger's strength. When the keeper narrates the hunter's death, that's the result of a missed roll. You may mark a box below and say how, through sheer brute strength and force of will, and perhaps the machinations of the occult, you actually survive. The hunters share this track, and there's only 3 boxes there. Okay, so use your custom move wisely. Did you want to try for the
King in Shadows.
King
Yeah.
Shadow.
for the
So it would give us a very clear thing to do at night,
Yes.
but we do also have 2 other leads to try and get more clues.
Mhm.
I mean, you don't have to
Um,
do it right now. I mean, that's fine. I just want to make a suggestion if you wanted
Yeah.
to.
We have like a location we think it is.
And it doesn't have to be limited to the locations that I just said. It could be
Mhm.
the new venue, could be whatever you want, really.
Yeah.
You would name it.
That'll be a cool place to have it at.
There's the basement of Hargrave House.
That'd be pretty good.
Um,
Instantly sold. I'm
Yeah,
instantly
the
sold on
basement of
that.
Hargrave House.
You have to have at least 2 clues to support that.
All right. Let's
I,
see.
I did not look at the clues when I suggested this.
Nope. you can
It's
do
just so cool, though. Oh my God,
Well,
that's
so we've
great.
got the mirrors.
it. Mhm.
We've got the advert for a play without a theater.
Mm.
So, and
Okay.
then shadowy sigil scrawled on the walls. We know that the trophy room has a number of weird sigils on it. If one were
Yes.
to appear there, I don't think the hunters would immediately notice.
Yeah.
Also,
Okay.
correct me if I'm wrong, we don't necessarily have to put these clues together as proving the next spot is Hargrave House so much as putting them together as saying this is how we were able to find out
Mhm.
Yes.
the next
Oh,
spot
yes,
is
yes,
Hargrave
yes.
House, right?
Yeah.
So like
Mhm.
as opposed to saying, okay, these clues are what we're gonna, here's the reason these clues mean Hargrave House. We can be saying like these clues mean the hunters were able to like track down the next spot, which turned out to be Hargrave House, right? So like
Yes.
we use mirrors to like follow the reflection of the smoky darkness and follow that through to the trophy room, find one of those sigils there that's been popping up,
Mhm.
and that's when the name on the handbill becomes clear, that the distress name of that theater
Ooh.
then like inky darkness slides and solidifies into Hargrave House.
Oh yeah,
I
like when
like
you
that.
when we get there, that's cool.
That is horrifying, and I love it.
Mhm.
So you're using the advert for the play,
Mhm.
the smoky mirrors,
Yep.
Mhm.
and the shadowy sigil, or no?
I believe so, yeah. Are we
Yes.
cool with a +1?
Yep.
All right, who wants to roll that?
It's Bob's theory.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Okay.
Nice.
Oh,
2d6 plus 1.
totally chill and good.
Yep. It
2d6 +1. An 8.
Yes.
Perfect. All right.
Whew.
You are okay. So you're gonna say it's Hargrave House, yeah?
Yeah.
The basement of
yeah,
Hargrave
yeah.
House.
Yeah, for
Oh
sure,
my
for sure.
God, that is
Yeah.
great. Hold on, I'm gonna write this in the thing.
So good. So good.
I mean, this
Basement.
also makes it super easy, so we know which room of Hargrave House we're describing next,
Okay,
and this
so
means that Whitmore will need to go buy snacks.
Yeah.
oh my God. Okay, so given that you're naming this, you have to create 3 descriptive features showcasing the off-putting nature of the location.
Mm.
You don't have to do it
Yeah.
now. I'm just
Yeah.
asking you to think about it. Okay.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So let me just put this in here. Create 3 descriptive features showcasing the off-putting nature of the location. All right, great. All right, let me reveal the next question. What roles are you intended to perform in the play? Resolve the threat by playing out this role during the play's next performance, ending the tragic fall of the occluded king, or by breaking out of this role and ruining the production itself, thereby returning order to London. And that's a complexity 6. All
And
right.
just as a point of clarification, because it's the first question is that we have to watch the performance at night.
Mm-hmm.
I presume during the night phase, at least one of us has to attend that show.
Yes.
And then the following night phase, or the following night or day phase, we could attempt to resolve it.
Correct.
So
Correct.
the upcoming night phase, this question is not eligible.
Right.
Okay, just confirming.
Right. Yeah, I probably did it too soon, but I mean, like, I'm so excited too, because this is like really fun. So, but yeah, before next time, think of 3 descriptive features showcasing the off-putting nature of the location. And then, like, I'm not even gonna like necessarily touch into complete dusk. I mean, like, we'll save that for next time since we're running low on time. I just want to go straight to stars and wishes. All right. So stars are things that you enjoy about each other, the gameplay, the game, and the role play. And then wishes, of course, are things that you might want to see for next time or in the future. So you can think long range.
I know I joked about this at the start while we were still setting up, but a star to Daniel for the LARP costuming with the magnificent beard. It started the session off on the right foot. Stars to, well, everyone for the first portion of this session that just kept the ball rolling. The elegance and the trauma in the Mask of Penance, and the dark horror and beauty in the acting during the threat introduction was lovely across the board. And then for Mads, I have 2 notes, or 2 stars. I say notes like it's 2 stars noted. The quick fire pace of that open was beautiful, and it kept me on the edge of my seat in all the right ways. And for the scene with Lord Campbell-Hughes and the RAC, when his RAC member retorted back, "That's not your line," was it fit everything. As far as wishes, I am very curious to see what happens when a 3rd threat gets thrown into the mix. And I'm also very apprehensive of the kind of things that will cause us to use the Eternal Man.
I've got some that I wrote down. I agree that I thought all the masks were great, and it really helps to having 2 weeks to think about it. So when we come back, those masks should always be like there's no excuse for those not to be stellar. I got a star for Jeremy I really think Whitmore's mannerisms are starting to really gel with his character. Like a great example would be him picking up a pamphlet rather than looking foolish and snatching it out of the air. I'm always a fan. Star for Paul. I'm always a fan of Paul's humor and his Whitmore, get in! I'm not stopping. That's classic Paul. So I'm glad to see it in Victor. And then a star for Bob with Doc's banter with and that's really a star for Mads too. That banter in the dive bar with Elway was just that was just really top notch barroom banter. And a star for Mads because it seems like this session more than any, you just got bombarded with like side characters and so a star for making each one of those distinct personalities, and these are characters that have their own motives, which may or may not align with our motives. So another star there for you, Mads. Wishes. I don't think three threats up and running, or that didn't make me nervous. We just come out swinging at everything. There's plenty of fire to go around.
For me, I want to give a star to Jeremy for his Mask of the Past. It was really such a heartwarming, like slice of life kind of mask to me. It's like the ending of it was really cool. And just like it's always cool when people are like, "Hey, have you heard of this random thing?" Plus, I never knew what like I like once you explain this, like, oh yeah, I have seen that. I just don't know the term for what panto theater the term for it was. So that's always cool to see people's like knowledge get dropped in the game. Started Daniel for the very quick, well done off the cuff story about Morocco. It just like it felt like Campbell-Hughes has told this story like a billion times to people, you know. Um, Started Bob for just to see a different side of Doc, like just more like wow, like stressed out Doc in a way, or just like more unsure. Doc feels just always just like very serene sort of character. It's cool to see him, another side of him. And like there's something about this like Doc at a bar that just feels so right as a scene. It's like feels like you know that scene in the shows where like they just like reset the episode to ground the audience. That's what it feels like when Doc's at a bar. Kind of like a reset for the show. And yeah, Mads, we threw a lot of NPCs at you. It's really cool to see you just like play all of them. And also the name Rossi Crucius, great name. Great name. Yeah, that was super fun. Wishes for next time. Yeah, I just like seeing like my favorite, like some of my favorite threats are the ones that touch all of London. But some threats they're like very enclosed. Don't want to name them out loud because you're gonna use them. But like Shortish Sluggard, it doesn't spread around that as easily. But this is like the whole of London is being messed with by this. So it's really cool to see it like show up when you don't expect it to show up. It's always fun. I'm seeing that more and seeing yeah, just attending the play. I'm really looking forward to attending the play. But yeah, that's it for me.
I absolutely second all the stars that have been mentioned. I mean, you know, that opening half with all of those masks that we unloaded was just hit after hit after hit, deeply affecting. And I'm going to try to find some stars that haven't been said yet, and it's going to be tough because there's a lot of stars that we pointed out and a lot of great things to laud from this session. Paul, I really enjoyed our back and forth for the vulnerable move. That was another one that was kind of like I wasn't really sure where I was going when I got in there, and I forget the improv term that my friend that does improv uses, but it's setting up. When you set up someone really well and you give them like the space to just like land the next joke. I feel like you gave me that with the questions that Victor was asking, talking about like what do you do when you know you don't feel on edge anymore. That was a surprising but really like fertile topic to explore. So I really enjoyed that. Jeremy, it's going to be tough not to make my star that first mask you did. That was, I mean, if you tell me that you didn't spend the intervening 2 weeks legitimately writing a piece of short fiction, if you told me that was what you did, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, still incredibly impressive. Like what a wonderful piece of well-written fiction and so well designed for performance. And if you tell me that you just kind of winged that, I will eat Doc's hat out of happiness, not out of disbelief, but just sheer thrill. Yeah, really, really stupendous stuff. And then Daniel, I just every time we go to the Royal Explorers Club, I that's such well-trod territory for me as far as like the media I've consumed and like, you know, entering that space, whether it be League of Extraordinary Gentlemen or League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, or Penny Dreadful. You know, I always feel like I know that Royal Explorers Club vibe really well. And then the conversations you end up with your context there and like the life that you fill that place with is so surprising. That conversation about, you know, you imagining it, this new threat being involved with the King of the Unseelie Court was just really wonderful. And that segues well into my next star, or at least the thing I'm going to acknowledge as a double down, because yeah, Mads, that filling out that conversation was just really, really well done. And a night full of picking up great NPCs on your part, that one really stands out. And then the specific thing that I think hasn't been said that's like very personal to me that I love is So the King in Shadow, almost certainly, I have to assume, is maybe not directly inspired by this, but from the same inspiration that this is inspired by, but it's from the SCP wiki. It's SCP-701, The Hanged King's Tragedy. It's like a revenge tragedy play that does exactly kind of what this is saying. Like it shows up places people don't really know like how it's being done or why it's being done or who's performing it, but then like audience members are being brought on stage to perform roles, and it ends with people dying. It's very spooky. And I remember the first time I read it in high school when I was reading a lot of SCP wiki stuff and just like being so terrified and also enthused, this idea of like a mimetic danger rather. And that intro you gave at the beginning leading into our descriptions of our dreams was so perfect. It was like rediscovering that fear and that excitement that I had as a high schooler reading that weird, unsettling entry for the first time. Wishes for me, I want to find Cobweb again. Definitely want to continue that search. I want to have that. I want to hit that question for Doc on the character sheet of having I want to say it's a feral sexual encounter. I think that's great. And secondarily and related, I want to have some space, I think, to like have Doc be very angsty about the things going on within him. And I think that's been kind of queued up with recent events, and I'm ready to have the space to pay that off, maybe, you know, to go solo on the next vulnerable move section and really suffer beautifully.
Interesting wishes all. I'm gonna like, I love rewatching because it's like, and then I'm like pondering, like, you know, I think I can do it. I think I can offer it up for next time. I'm like just always like trying to remember like how to offer you guys opportunities to use your better stats, your best stats, and then like also trying to incorporate your Dawn questions when I can. But I've been kind of like, you know, slowly getting the hang of like, you know, trying to add that to the mix as well. And you know, I always love playing against Daniel and Paul because it's like, you know, we've played together before, like in certain circumstances, and there's always some really good byplay. It's like just automatic fun because it's like, you know, you guys know how to give it back and forth, so you just run with it, and like very much so yes. And then like, you know, Bob and Jeremy, I'm only just starting to get used to your styles. I mean, Jeremy, I played excuse me, with you once before, and then same with Bob. And again, just like the little touches there, we'll get there, you know, we'll have that byplay soon, I'm sure. But I mean, the little touch with Whitmore's kiss to seal the bag, and then Doc with reaching out to this complete stranger. I mean, again, big Labrador, you know, just kind of like blundering into things, but I mean, like, you know, just so lovable and just wanting to reach out and just connect, you know, with other people. So, yeah, I look forward to Dusk Phase for this upcoming session for 2 weeks from now. And I look forward to, you know, really filling out the world. I mean, like, you know, you guys give me the stuff, and then like, you know, however you're reacting and responding, whoever you hone in on. I mean, like, you know, I'm glad to give you those people to interact with, to fill out the world more. I mean, it's not just about, and I've been a little bit remiss as like also too, like where you're at. I mean, like, you know, I like, should probably have more paint the scene type stuff, but it just automatically just jumps right into, all right, talking to somebody, you know, like trying to figure out what the hell's going on. And I love the fact that there's a lot of built in or created character. I mean, like Paul with Dr. Effie, and Daniel with the REC, you know, even like the people that are in the playbook. I mean, like, you know, there's still how you react to them, how you respond to them. I'm going off of that. I'm not necessarily going completely off of the description. And then with Doc creating Elway and the bar, which we still need a name for. Thank you very much. Put it in the London tab.
Oh,
and
it's
then okay, I didn't see it. All right. And then with Whitmore, again, just like, you know, it was a spotlight moment for him, I think, like, you know, having that wonderful panto question to at large, you know, and it was beautiful. I loved it. So again, looking forward to more excuse me, role playing off of you all, and seeing your characters slowly grow. I mean, you know, every time I'm always seeing just a little bit more, just a little bit more, and it's exciting. I mean, Daniel, your details with the people and the places, it's like I can't wait to hear some of these masks of the past. It's going to be filling out like so much more body and richness on the boy's tale. So I look forward to that a lot. All right. So if there is nothing else, again, we're going to go right into dusk phase, like truly, excuse me, for next time. So all the fun stuff, get ready to roll quickening, roll up, like warm up those dice, Bob, and and all the you know, included stuff that rolls in with dusk phase. Okay, if there's nothing else, I'm going to you know, bid you guys adieu. If I see you again for some other thing before 2 weeks are up, fabulous. All right, but aside from that, like have a wonderful 2 weeks, and happy gaming in between. All right, so see ya. Thank
See ya.
you.